All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I know we still have some people kind of trickling in here, but I will go ahead and get our session started today. So welcome to the Minnesota Association for College Admission Counseling Virtual College Fair. We are so excited to have you participating in this event and appreciate you taken some time. I know there's many events going on today and tomorrow, so I would also point you towards several other events we have going on. We have some fantastic schools here with us today. Just to introduce myself, my name is Laura. I'll be your facilitator for this session, where we'll be talking about standing out as a STEM applicant. Before we get started, I just have a few housekeeping items. You've probably already noticed your camera and microphone are off, so our presenter here cannot see or hear you. So if you have questions, you will not be able to come off of mic to ask those. So just want to make everyone aware of that. However, you can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenter at any time. So I'd encourage you to make full use of that as questions come up during our conversation today. Again, just want to reiterate that this is just one of many different sessions that are happening. So be sure to check the schedule out on the website. And this presentation is being recorded and it will be available to you at strivescan.com/Minnesota. So you can access that after today. All right, well, that is everything on my end. So with that, I would now like to turn it over to our presenter, Claire, for her to kick us off and get started.
Thanks so much, Laura. Hi, everyone. My name is Claire. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen, and then I'll introduce myself further. I'll wait for that to load, and then we'll get going. So as Laura said, my name is Claire, and I'm one of our senior international admission counselors at the Illinois Institute of Technology located in Chicago, Illinois. And today I'm going to be talking to all of you a little bit more about how to stand out as a STEM applicant during the admission process. And first, I'll have just a brief overview of my institution, Illinois Tech, and then we'll dive into the things to think about during the admission and application process to really make your unique qualities show up on your application when you're specifically applying to STEM universities. Also, as Laura said, please use the Q&A box if you do have questions, because we will have time at the end to go over those. So again, my name is Claire Johnson, and I'm one of our undergraduate admission counselors at Illinois Tech, specifically working with international students, but I also do work with US citizens based in Minnesota, as well as abroad outside of the US. And Illinois Tech, to give you a brief overview of our student profile, is a small university. So even though we're in the large city of Chicago, we only have about 3,000 undergraduates and 3,200 grad students. And that means small class sizes, so a small student to faculty ratio of about 12:1, and then a very diverse population as well. We have students from all 50 states in the United States, and then 34% of our students are international. So we are a small institution that's really built on community, and our students who are here studying STEM really do feel a great connection with their peers and their professors. In terms of the programs that we offer, we have 5 academic colleges for undergraduate students, and these programs are over 40 different majors across these colleges. The most popular department is our Armour College of Engineering, which should be no surprise coming from a STEM institution. The College of Architecture is also very well renowned, and the program for architecture is a 5-year program. The program is also a architecture program based in math and science rather than only design. Our College of Computing houses all the data, computer science, analytics, those types of courses. And the Lewis College of Science and Letters is where you'll find a merging of social science programs like global studies and digital humanities, and then also the hard sciences like bioanalytical chemistry, biology, regular chemistry, physics, and all of those programs. And then finally, the Stewart School of Business does offer one business program that's actually a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration versus a Bachelor of Arts, because it does infuse a tech focus into that business curriculum. So now that you know a little bit more about Illinois Tech and how we are so focused on the STEM programs, I'll dive into how you can make yourself stand out when you're applying as a STEM applicant, whether to Illinois Tech or other STEM universities. So to start off with, transcripts and test scores are important. So at Illinois Tech, we do review every student holistically, which just means that we're not going to base our entire decision on your grades and your test scores, but it does play an important role because for us, when we're looking at a student who wants to come into one of our very rigorous engineering or computer science programs, we want to be able to see that a student has a very strong academic background in advanced level math and science. Because if a student doesn't have that knowledge in those areas, it's going to be a really big struggle once they get into one of our very rigorous programs at Illinois Tech. And I would say the same can be said for other STEM institutions, being that we are so focused in and honed in on the STEM fields and really specialize in that area. A student needs to be very strong in their background in those math and science courses, and then very certain as well that they want to go into a STEM program. And that will set them up to be successful at a STEM institution. So my recommendation for students in high school is if they have the opportunity to take AP, IB, A-level, honors, or any advanced type of level math and science courses, take advantage of it, because this will, again, provide that very strong foundation in math and science that we want to see when we're reviewing a student for admission. That said, of course, it's not required for a student to have done AP or IB or A-level, because we know that not every high school has these as opportunities for students. But if we see that a student did not take advantage of taking those when it was available at their high school, then perhaps we'll wonder, well, why didn't they dive into that higher level coursework? But again, if it's not an option for a student at a high school, it's not going to be a disadvantage either, because we can't disadvantage someone who didn't have that as an option in the first place. And in that case, then I would recommend a student to take as high level of math and science as they possibly can, given what's offered at their high school, and then really commit themselves to doing well in those courses and getting good grades to the best of their ability. So yes, as I've said a couple of times now, STEM programs are very rigorous. So the more you prepare yourself academically before enrolling, the stronger you will be as a college student in STEM, and you'll already have that springboard to jump from and dive into a more successful academic career, having had a strong foundation in math and science. Extracurricular involvement. So this is where you get to kind of show the unique aspects of you as an applicant and any sort of unique experiences specifically in STEM that you might have had. So as I said, grades and test scores are important, but we're going to review everything holistically. And at Illinois Tech, we do look at the extracurricular involvement that a student has and writes about on their application. And to just from a more basic level, I always recommend that students commit to 2 to 3 extracurricular activities and not so much trying to be involved in everything. Because for us, depth over breadth is what's important. I want to see that you spend 2 to 3 years, all of high school, maybe some of middle school, really committed to a couple different types of organizations or clubs or athletics teams, instead of trying to do everything, maybe one club one year and another club the next year, and never really committing yourself to be a life or long-time member of whatever that activity is. So focusing on just a couple activities and trying to grow within those organizations, maybe take on a leadership role of a club or an organization or a sports team, anything like that will be a great way to show that you are set up well to come into university and be a well-rounded individual. It's also very helpful, but not necessarily required to be involved in activities related to the program you're applying for. So it's something nice to see that you have a genuine interest and some experience in whatever STEM program that you're applying to. So this could be like, maybe you did some research or a STEM related internship, maybe robotics club. Seeing that you have this type of experience in high school is really helpful for us to know that you are genuinely interested in studying STEM in college and want to be involved in that program. And then also you have some experience with that field and kind of know what to expect going into it. But again, we can't say it's required because not every high school student has that available to them as an opportunity. So we're not going to disadvantage someone if robotics club just didn't exist at your high school. Essentially, extracurricular involvement shows us that you're a well-rounded individual, and at Illinois Tech, at least, we want students to come in with a diverse range of perspectives and backgrounds that they can add to the classroom and bring into our community. Essays. Essays is another area to show your unique characteristics and background. So again, take time on it, just like you have taken time on your extracurriculars and really committed yourself to your studies and your classes. Take the same amount of time and effort and put it into writing your essays as well. And writing about something that makes you unique and shows a different side of you that we don't necessarily see on a transcript or a test score is very important, because talk about something that will make you stand out and is a little more than just, I got good grades in all my classes. That's great, but the essay is not the place to talk about it. So what kinds of STEM related experiences have you had? Talk about something like that in an essay, a really impactful research project that you did, or internship maybe, or perhaps you had the chance to job shadow a friend or a family member in their STEM related job, and that sort of inspired you to want to go on and study STEM. So things like that are really great topics to write about in an essay. But again, it's not a required component from our part to talk only about STEM in the essay. If you have some other unique experience that's really impactful for you and kind of changed your course of your life and inspired your future professional and educational goals, then by all means, go for it and write about that topic. But sometimes if students are struggling to find a topic, talking about STEM, if that's what they're interested in, can be a great place to start when it comes to the essays. It can also be helpful to talk about, difficult situation you might have encountered and how you persevered to overcome it. That's another great recommendation I have for students who are trying to come up with an interesting essay topic. And then kind of in sum, no matter what you are writing about, whether you have had a STEM related experience that you can talk about in your essay or not, it's important to be genuine in those essays and speak with your own voice. And I think myself as an admission counselor and any admission counselor at other universities would say the same thing. We don't want to read some generic essay that doesn't show us who you are as a person. We truly want to know what your unique characteristics are and what your voice sounds like by reading the essay. Letters of recommendation. The best place to start with this is making sure you're asking someone to write the letter who knows you well and can write something that's thoughtful and not generic. Because we would hate to have a recommendation letter come in for you that's just 2 sentences saying essentially nothing about who you are as an individual. So it's important that you choose someone who can speak to your strengths in the classroom, or maybe a time that you struggled in their class, but they observed how you worked hard to improve. Something that's actually meaningful about you as an individual and not just a generic letter. For my specific recommendation for STEM applicants is to ask perhaps a math or science teacher to write a letter, because obviously they will have experience of being with you in a math or science, STEM related setting, and can talk about, how you were as a student in that type of related coursework. But it's also a great idea to ask a supervisor for a research project you might have done, or a STEM related internship, to write a letter. And they have seen you in a STEM setting and can talk to your strengths within that field. So again, kind of avoiding generic letters of recommendation that don't speak to your uniqueness is the first place to start. And then if you are able to find a recommender who is related in STEM in some way with you, then that's a great person to have write a letter on your behalf. And then proofreading. I know this sounds very basic, but as busy as we all are, sometimes it can be easy to just forget to proofread or not take enough time to proofread your essays and application to make sure that it's the best that it can be. But I think this is a really critical piece, especially when applying to a STEM program, where we want to see that you've really taken the time to perfect your application and your essays, your letters. And this shows us that you are a very focused and academic minded student, because those are the types of students we see being very successful at Illinois Tech. And you're not just flippantly applying to any and every school, and you've taken the time to really show us at Illinois Tech what makes you stand out, what makes you different in the STEM experiences that you have. So it's important to spend time writing your essays and application, but then also step away as well for a few days, and then maybe come back later to proofread, because a lot of times that's when you'll see errors jumping out or things that you're like, oh, I could have framed this in a much better way. So taking that time away is very helpful as well. And then also make sure that you're really showing your genuine interest in STEM in all aspects of your application. So again, whether that's you participated in a STEM related organization or club, you did an internship for research that's in a STEM field, make sure to include it if you have it in your history, because we do want to see that on your application. Having friends, families, counselors, and any other set of eyes take a look at your essays and your application is also helpful, because they can provide some constructive feedback. Of course, they should not be writing any of your essays or applications for you, but they can provide some insight into things that you may have overlooked. And also make sure to spend enough time, not just on the longer general essay, but also on the short answer essays. Every university is going to be different in terms of the short answer essays that it requires, but speaking from my perspective at Illinois Tech, you will need to say why you're applying to Illinois Tech, and then specifically to the program that you are trying to gain admission to. So make sure to spend just as enough time on those short answers as on the longer Common App essay, because again, we are reading through all of that, and we do want to see that you're genuinely interested in our institution, genuinely wanting to go into a STEM field, and any unique aspects that you can add to that and bring to our community. So I did see a few questions come in the Q&A, and that sort of wraps up my tips and points to think about to make yourself sort of stand out in the application process when you're applying to a STEM school. And I see we had a couple questions here. How do you view an AP course versus PSEO at college? Both are great, to be honest. So if a student has the option to take PSEO or any college course, or a community college, anything like that, specifically in a STEM area, that's awesome. We like to see, again, that students have taken advanced level coursework to help prepare them to be ready to enter a rigorous STEM program at Illinois Tech. But again, if a student didn't have the opportunity to do that, to take PSEO classes or AP classes, we're not going to disadvantage them, because if it's not an opportunity for someone, that's not fair for us to discredit it in any way. What is a long essay and what should it be? So at Illinois Tech, we do use the Common application to apply, and the long essay on the Common App has a few different essay topics that students can choose from, or they can just choose to submit their own essay of a topic of their choosing. So there's a few different options, I think 3 to 5 different essay topics that someone can choose from, or they can, again, submit their own essay on a topic of their choosing. Would not taking an AP or IB course lower my chances of getting into a STEM school if I had the option to? So we would wonder, honestly, why didn't the student take AP classes if they had the option to take it? So that's where I would say on the application, maybe explain why you perhaps couldn't take AP or IB even though it was offered, or why you chose not to, because there's a bunch of reasons out there. We're very well aware that there's many different situations, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. So explaining that on your application is really helpful, or even reaching out to one of the admission counselors to have a meeting and talk about that. So then we're aware when we're reading your application what was happening at that time for you and why you didn't take AP or IB. And then, we're not just wondering on the application when we're reading through it for admission. If my grades in math and science aren't better than my English and social studies grades, will I still be considered a quality STEM applicant? That's a great question. And so my, question back to you there is more so, if you're doing or having a higher academic background in English and other social studies, but wanting to go into STEM, what's the reason for that? Because I think a lot of times we will see that if math and science are kind of areas where a student struggles, then they may not necessarily enjoy studying STEM at Illinois Tech, and it's not always the best fit for a student. And we want to make sure that whatever program you're studying in university is going to be the best fit for you, and you're enjoying your experience as a university student, because you're spending 4 to 5 years studying this program. So it's important to choose something that you feel that you'll enjoy and you're academically going to do well in. So it's not so much that we wouldn't consider it as a quality STEM applicant, but we might wonder, hey, perhaps a different program would fit better into his or her talent area or wheelhouse, if that makes sense. Is my overall GPA looked at or my individual grade for each class? At Illinois Tech, we do look at both. So we do want to make sure that your overall GPA is strong. So for us, we do prefer to see at least 3.0 GPA. But then as well, we also do look at the individual grades in your math and science courses and just make sure that you're doing well there. So it's both that we will look at Illinois Tech. Again, every university is going to be slightly different, but I think for universities like us that are specialized in the STEM fields, we not only want to know that overall a student has a strong academic background, but that they have a strong track record in individual math and science courses as well. All great questions so far. Thank you. Oh, Laura, I think you're muted. Oh, I could hear you.
You can hear me now? Oh, okay.
Yes.
I'm having some lagging on my end. It's still showing as muted for some strange reason, but thank you so much, Claire, for all of your fantastic tips. I mean, so much great content. So really appreciate you taking some time out today. So just as some final notes for everybody here on our call, once we close out, you will be prompted to complete a brief survey. It is just 5 questions and that will appear on your screen. So really appreciate any feedback that you can give us there as we work to create more and more events like this. And I would encourage you sign up for more sessions. So we still have several more through today and tomorrow, and recordings of these sessions as well as all the other sessions will be available at strivescan.com/Minnesota. So with that, again, just want to thank Claire for being here today. Thank you for your time, and I wish all of you a fantastic rest of your day. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.